So let me ask you two questions at once. They picked you, but you picked them. So how did you pick Oracle, or why did you pick Oracle? And then put that in the, if you would, put that in the context of this.
I don't know if you knew I wasn't at HP anyway.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah.
I don't know how much I work on that, but we can go ahead.
We're going to do whatever you want to.
All right.
So listen, I mean, I think.
Why Oracle and that?
Well, you know, it's fun. When I left HP, I actually thought about sitting out for a while, to be honest with you. And I got calls, and the calls that I got real quick were sort of the calls that you'd probably expect to get. I have a company that's in bad shape. Would you come get it in some other kind of shape? And thought about that, but it didn't really, motivate me. My thought of Oracle was almost, completely the opposite. Right. As I think about what companies do, and what leaders do, you work on strategy, number one. You work on aligning the operations to make sure the strategy can get executed, and you get the best people on the planet to execute the operations. And Oracle, frankly, I thought strategically was in such great shape that it put me in a different position, Mark, than I've been in before. An opportunity to take a company that's in very good shape and perhaps be in several years in one of the most unique positions, in the industry. So it was extremely attractive to me for probably different reasons than historically one would think of.
And yet you're kind of a server guy in my mind, and here is a company which is making the ultimate server play.
It depends. It's funny. I have lots of labels, but
server guy.
Server guy too. Listen. I think that I believe the industry is all about IP, and I think IP drives the industry. And Oracle's in a position to have perhaps the best IP stack across consumer, SMB, enterprise, across sort of any piece of the industry. So it is the IP that truly attracted me.
Well, in a way, this is like a Bill Gates play writ large, because instead of having the PC or the PCOS be the so-called platform, you've got something which runs on everything almost, and it is, the database Oracle. What number are we on right now? Oracle.
Well, we're on 11.
11, and that runs on everything. That's all over the world. So that is the platform, and the applications and middleware sit on top of that. That's a great thing to own. That is prime real estate, right? I mean, that could be a global enterprise that just never says die.
Well,
and then you build all the other things you're describing on top of that.
I think we just don't want to be more compared to anybody if we can avoid it.
Okay.
I think we'd rather just be Oracle. And our objective is to go provide solutions. I mean, the enterprise market is $700 billion.
But this is a platform.
It is a platform that we think has extensibility and scale.
Exactly. Okay. I've heard that you didn't used to like the word cloud.
I don't know what it means.
Okay. So we can use that or not, but data centers that are either owned by a corporation privately, or data centers which are run by Amazon and open to use by others. That's better, right?
Well, no, the only reason I have nothing against the term cloud, my thought in the industry is that when we talk about some issue or some opportunity, people tend to insert the word cloud, and that's going to be the answer to whatever question.
Cloud is what the other guy does.
Well, yeah, or it's magic. And the only point I try to bring to people is that somewhere in this cloud is hardware, software, there's intellectual property, and it's got to come from somewhere to somewhere else. The fact is that the cloud basically just somebody else is doing it. It's some interesting behavioral stuff, Mark. I mean, can you imagine you talk to a company and they say, listen, I want to know what kind of server you've got. In fact, not only that, I want to know what chip is in the box. I want to know what cable you're using. I want to get down to the component level, and I want to look at this a la carte. And then, but if it's in the cloud, I don't care. I'll take whatever you got. So it's an interesting behavioral thing that sort of in the industry, we've trained everybody to think about this stuff in this very detailed level of components. Yet if it's a cloud, it could be anything. IT organizations need to shift their IT spend from maintenance to innovation. And innovation means, how do I align with the business? How do I get my money into the business to help grow revenue, to help automate a task that gets us more efficient? I think you'll see the IT industry do more of this vertical integration at various levels more to try to lower that budget. I think you'll see vendor consolidation, and I think you'll see capabilities that less companies can bring.
And this could have privately and publicly.
I think so. I think that's exactly what you're saying.
Or at home.
Yeah, I think that the IT job is today, and again, I don't think you can get IT budgets aligned just by doing the technology tricks you described. The most of the problem with IT budgets is not the technology. And I don't mean that to be a good guy for the industry. I think it's the truth. Most of IT's inefficiencies comes from the lack of integration of business processes to the application suite that runs the company. And the lack of understanding the magic between the two causes the massive inefficiency. You know, the company that I just came from, at our lunatic worst, we had 7,000 applications to run the company.
Yeah.
And it wasn't because we loved applications.
Well, and how many data centers?
We had 87, I think, at the start. But the way those happen to you is they happen to you not just through acquisition. They happen when you take a business leader and you say to the business leader, tell me about the processes you have to run the business. And the business leader explains to you the processes without understanding the sprawl in IT that's been created. You know, I mean, I think I probably used the example a couple of years ago. Now I will use this one. You know, we dispatch parts to fix computers. We had 100 different ways to dispatch a part. It was different in Germany than it was in France. And you'd ask the people in charge of that process, why is it different in Germany and France? And I get the feedback, you just don't understand. And I'd say, exactly, I don't understand.
No,
and I gotta tell you what, I actually don't understand, I don't agree with you. And so we're gonna take those 100 processes and we're gonna fuse them into one.
One thing I've been kind of wondering about is, when will we start using supercomputer level compute power to ask those questions for normal businesses? Because until now we've been basically accounting. We've been doing a lot of accounting, inventory,
but you know, listen, I mean, it's the same problem, Mark. I mean, I think at the end of the day, I give you an example. When this is probably a year ago, so I think I probably wouldn't tell the story, but it struck with me. I was going to the airport to pick up somebody at the airport. My youngest daughter was with me. And I'm driving to the airport, and I'm talking I got the speakerphone works in my car, and I was trying to get the gate. You ever do that? You call that goofy call center, and I'm saying San Francisco. And it's come back San Diego. And I'm like, no, San Francisco. And so my daughter said, what are you doing? And I said, I'm trying to get the gate number. She goes, well, why can't you get it? And I said, well, she goes, don't these folks have Google? And I said, you know, actually this data is in legacy applications. And she's like, well, what's a legacy application? And I'm like, there's no chance I'm going to get my way out of this, right, by the time I get to the airport. So the point being, here's a consumer who's about to be a buyer who can't understand why somebody like me would tolerate horrible customer service.
I thought she pulled her iPhone out with the next story.
That's what she did.
Yeah.
She told me exactly what it was. She told me gate. I didn't.
I got a micro app for
Don't
that.
you know there's a gate app? And I'm like, no, I didn't know there's a gate app. So that's it, right? I mean, that's how she thinks. And so, you know, I think what's going to happen to all of us is we got trained to deal with bad customer service. You know, they're not.
Yep.
And so I think it's going to be more difficult. And I think this app movement I just described to you is key to getting more efficient use of data.
Yeah.
So I think as you start looking, remember 25% of the world's applications today are packaged apps coming from somebody like Oracle. 75 are not. 75% of the apps are homegrown or have been customized by some company for use of that company. And most of those apps are old. And when you ask who built it, why was it built, who knows what it's about, who can change it, who could transform it, those answers become few.
And what is the parameter K1 for?
Well, there you go. So then so you come down to the fact of the day, as you head forward to the future, this transformation isn't just about servers. It isn't just about data centers. It's about the applications at the core, how they align the processes, and how they help customers have an easier time doing business with it.
Right.